Welcome to ClickFunnels Radio, the podcast that brings you the latest strategies, insights, and success stories from online marketers just like you who utilize funnels to grow their business. Our mission is simple: to help you unleash the true potential of your online business by harnessing the power of funnels. Join us every week as we bring you exclusive interviews and thought-provoking discussions that will revolutionize the way you approach online marketing. Here are your hosts, Laura Demetrius and Chris Cameron.
Welcome back to ClickFunnels Radio. My name is Chris Cameron, and joined with always is my awesome co-host, Laura Demetrius. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Chris. How are you?
I am so good, and I am so excited. I've gotten to know our guest over the last year or so, and he's been in our community for quite some time, but it's been really, really funny. I actually just spoke at Funnel Hacking Live, and it was fun. I got to hang out with his family a little bit, Becca, and mic him up backstage and that type of stuff. So it was really, really cool. But let me introduce the one and the only Eric Thayne. Eric is an entrepreneur and founder of Celadora Studios, a multi-seven-figure media production agency that helps brands, influencers, leaders, and movement builders grow their influence in their business with social video content. Eric has helped produce over 500 million video views for well-known brands and industry icons, and his content has been featured by some of the most prestigious online media channels in the world. Eric also founded Cinema Mastery, an online community for filmmakers and video creators with over 15,000 paying customers in 100 plus countries around the world. His video and content creation techniques are used worldwide by filmmakers and entrepreneurs alike. And let me add to that, okay? This guy, within the matter of about 12 months, has created a pretty big online following through publishing daily. And we're talking like over 100,000 followers on Instagram. Like, this guy can gain as many as like 1,000 in a day. And he's done like every single month, his channel reaches like over 500,000 people. So I want to thank you for joining us today, Eric. This is going to be fun. How are you, man?
Hey, what's up, Chris and Laura? So excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Well, I am super excited because you know what I thought about on this? Oftentimes we'll go into story and we usually talk maybe about one or the other in the Heroes 2 journey. You know, there's an external journey that happens, but then there's also an internal journey that happens. And maybe, if it's all right, and Eric, maybe we dig a little bit deeper on this, but I kind of feel like you had two different lives here in your entrepreneurial journey. Like one where you built up this business and then it didn't really stand and you had to change and adapt and create. Do you want to tell us that backstory? And then I want to kind of get into the publishing.
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, I'm a creative. I'm an entrepreneur. I've always been, you know, growing up was always like, how do I figure out what I love to do and how do I figure out how to make money doing it? And so that was the thing. It was always creative endeavors. I started playing the piano when I was like 7 years old. Got into art, and my very first business was actually designing T-shirts for screamo bands on MySpace. So if you remember MySpace, like I would actually connect with people all over the world, and they would pay me over PayPal. And this was 2000.
You said screamo bands? Right? I don't even know what a screamo band is.
You were so not with the scene.
I'm old.
But yeah, that was 2003. Like PayPal was brand new, like it just barely come out around that time, and like it was so revolutionary. And I don't think I realized. I was young. I was 13 years old. I didn't realize how revolutionary that was. But that was my first business, and then I got into website development and even iPhone development. Started a recording studio and a video production agency, and then just a lot of creative endeavors, but always with this underlying tone of like, how do I figure out how to make money doing this as well? Because there's that entrepreneurial bug. I feel like most people are either like very entrepreneurial, numbers, data, funnels, marketing, sales, ROI, and then either that or they're very much an artist, which is like brand and content and
right.
Aesthetics. And so it took me a long time to figure this out, but I realized that it's actually unique for me to be one of those types that like I'm like a perfect blend of both. And so I actually love talking about just the entrepreneurship of art and the art of entrepreneurship, right? And so I really think that entrepreneurs need creators and creators need entrepreneurs, like to really thrive and build something meaningful and lasting. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell.
How did you, as a creator, as an artist, figure out what it was? Like, I feel like so many artists and creators out there, people who are just creative by nature, that maybe don't feel like they're entrepreneurs, but they're like, man, it would be great to make a living off of what I love to do. How did you find that?
I think it was always like native for me and natural, but it was, I think that like for entrepreneurs, the struggle is to figure out how to be creative. Right. And that's like nowadays, that's like my whole mission is like, I want to help entrepreneurs to be creative, to build brands, to create content, to build something meaningful and lasting, and stop like focusing so much on the tactics and the numbers and everything, but like, how do you actually build something that has meaning? And I've worked a lot, obviously, with creatives as well, and helped them learn the entrepreneur, the business side of it. And so if you're a creative, you got to learn the business side. If you want to make money and you want to be able to go to the deepest levels of your craft, that's what it takes. If you're an entrepreneur, it's valuable, especially in the day and age that we're going into, to learn how to be a creator, which is really like the whole. I feel like that's my calling, my mission, my passion.
That's unique because a lot of people can't be both, right? If they're an artist, they're like, well, I don't really care if I monetize this, right? What would you say to somebody that's extremely artistic but doesn't know how to do the tactical stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's a learnable skill, right? Like you can learn the business side of things, you can learn the marketing and the sales and everything. Even just a little bit will go a long way. But then ultimately, being a creator really is about figuring out what is your unique craft. What are the things that I'm really good at and love to do, and leaning into those things, going deeper and deeper down that one single rabbit hole, and allowing other creators to take over the other parts of the process and other aspects of it. I always think about how, for example, Tony Robbins, right? If you look at Tony Robbins as a creator, and his craft is in motivating people and inspiring them and helping them, like Tony Robbins doesn't fly his plane. He doesn't gas it up. He doesn't run the events. He doesn't sell the tickets. Like Tony is a creator who has a team of creators around him that are leaning into their thing that they're really good at, the thing that they love to do. And when everybody leans into that, when you do the personal development, the self-discovery to understand what is it that I really love and I'm really good at, uniquely good at, that's what I call your craft as a creator. When you really lean into that and you go, this is what I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to allow everybody else to do the things that they focus on that I'm not that good at or that I don't love to do. What happens is now when you have all these creators that are working together, what you find is that what we have is a creator economy. And that creator economy is what we're seeing happening in the world today, where it's become easier than ever with social media and the internet for people, entrepreneurs, people with a mission, with a calling, whatever, to become a creator. Right? To create their craft, to do their thing, and only do their thing, and collaborate with other creators in the creator economy. And so I see the creator economy as being like a worldwide thing. It was Naval Ravikant that said, he said, there are 8 billion people in the world. Someday I hope there will be 8 billion businesses. Right. And so it's like looking at yourself almost as a business, with a mission and a purpose. But that happens on a worldwide scale, but then also within a company, within an organization, as an entrepreneur in our agency, we view it the same way. Every individual inside of our company is a creator, is a steward over a specific skill set that they're really good at and they love to do, and they allow everybody else to do their jobs.
It's interesting you bring that up, because that is exactly what happens inside of ClickFunnels. Everybody looks at ClickFunnels, especially go to Funnel Hacking Live, and you've got this well-oiled machine, this huge production. But there's a lot of behind the scenes that happens there. And a lot of it is Russell, what we get these brain dumps, right, Laura? We get these big old brain dumps where he'll come and say, all right, brain dump incoming, whether it's a Loom video or Vox or anything else. And then people take that big brain dump and this vision as the creator, and everybody knows their little piece. And then they start plugging it in. We kind of bring it back to him, and he's like, yeah, okay, that looks awesome. Or it doesn't, and we'll make a couple adjustments. So not only, I think in companies it happens like crazy. And for people who are more corporate America, they're not used to that, creator like economy. And it's very, very different when you're run by a visionary, and somebody who is a creator. And that's been something that, it's taken me some time to adjust to, but it's really fun because he'll just give you a little snippet and then you run with it in your own lane and in your own superpower.
Yeah. It's very different from typical corporate structure. For sure. But it also allows for a lot more freedom and a lot more creativity. And I believe that when you give your employees or your creators the space to be good at what they do, and give them the space to like not maybe constantly be busy, like tactically doing things, but like taking time away and understanding like their energy and how to like become the best at their craft, everybody ends up going further together. Because you're treating humans with like the space and the energy that they need in order to excel at what they do.
There really is such a difference when you actually talk about the creative process and understanding how other humans need space and boundaries and to do their own thing in order to be creative, to bring their value back to the table. And I can't imagine working for a place that doesn't allow something like that. I feel like I've been fortunate enough to work with visionaries who are creators, who work with a bunch of other creators who, as Chris mentioned, you kind of disperse, put your own pieces together, come back. Russell will touch the stone if he approves, and like you keep moving forward, or you go back to the drawing board and you start over again. But it's so great to have that sort of collaboration with other creators, with a visionary who sees the big picture and how to bring all of that together with the right people.
Totally.
Well, what's interesting though, is I have to tell you from corporate America too, there's a lot of people who can't handle that structure. And you just have to find the right people who are the fit. So if they're a creator in their own, like for me, right? I've tried a lot of my own stuff, but I'd much rather be like an entrepreneur. Like I love attaching myself to Russell's vision, to ClickFunnels' vision. I want to be a rainmaker, right? And that's where I thrive. But there's some people who wake up in the morning and they need to be told what to do. And they want to maybe just have the same process. They want to have the same routine. Hey, and that's why there's chocolate and vanilla ice cream, right? Is because some people like things one way or another. But it's very important, I think, if you are, maybe speak to that too, Eric. Like if you are the visionary, if you are the creator, how have you gone about finding the right people on your team that are capable of just you giving them some vision and letting them run?
Yeah, no, it's a different process for hiring that way and team building that way. The way that I look at it is that I believe that everyone is a creator. Right. So in my terminology, in my dictionary, right, a creator is what we all are. Like we were meant to be creators. We're all on this earth to create, to produce, to build, to add value to the world, to add light. And I think we all have the capability of doing that. Now, whether we all, step into that calling and actually do it is a different story. But I think we all have the ability to. And we all are given unique desires, passions, interests, gifts, values, beliefs, morals that make up who we are. That's the makeup of your brand, your personality, right? And so it's really seeing that inside of. It starts with seeing that inside of everyone and understanding that like there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. Honestly, I think that everybody's just different, and we all have a unique combination of skills and talents, passions and interests that other people don't have. We were given that was breathed into us when we were born, and we were built with these things or developed them over time. But either way, it's like that's what makes you unique and different from anybody else. And so, if you see that in other people, and you go, what like it becomes less like you need to be this way or you need to be this way in order to be on the team. It's more like we bring people into our team and we go, we want to discover what their gifts are. What are you really good at? Like, how do you like to operate? And then lean into that. And so sometimes that means bringing somebody in for a role and then shifting that role over time. And so as you start to understand, like, oh, actually, you really enjoy doing this and you're really good at this, but you don't like this. Let's cut that part off and let's hand it off to somebody else. And you find those little pockets that everybody takes ownership of that pocket. And
we call that musical chairs on the bus.
Yeah.
Which is a real thing though. I love it. That happens at ClickFunnels too. Yeah.
Yeah. It just creates this really cool culture where I honestly, like, everybody feels like they have their place in the company, that they are providing value to the team, that they're part of the vision, they're part of the mission. And then it couldn't operate without them. And so everybody's invested. They want to be part of it. If you were to ask anybody on my team, if you were to ask them, like, what's your favorite part of working with us? They would say the fact that like Eric and the team gives us the autonomy to do what we're good at. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most important thing. When you're working with creators and you see people as creators, it becomes less of a task list and managing people and more of a, here's the vision. What are you going to do with it? And
it's super, super fulfilling for them on their side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to switch gears a little bit because I want to talk about your book, because I'm one of the lucky ones that got to actually get my hands on a copy of this. And it's fantastic, by the way. It's really, really well written and very approachable. And I think there's so many things that you can take out of this.
I have to say, Laura, I'm impressed that you're already cover to cover on this too. This has been like what, 3 weeks or something? Like that's awesome. Got it.
The book's not even out yet. It's not even out yet.
When I'm down for the count and ill, while my kids still get to go to daycare, I have some time to actually, dive into these things. And this is great. And as somebody who actually used to be like a lifestyle blogger and micro influencer and have brand partnerships and stuff, there was so much stuff in here that were just great reminders, but also things that like I want to start pushing myself a little bit more. And, it's a lot of things help you kind of challenge yourself to get out of the comfort of, being behind the camera and maybe do some other things to get some attention. And I like how you talk about the ingredients of shareable content, but also influence. So before we dive into some of the deeper stuff in here, can you just talk about like the journey of creating this book and why you felt it was so necessary for people to have this?
Yeah, great question. So this actually goes back to like the beginning of when I started following ClickFunnels and paying attention to what was going on. I've been in Russell's world for almost 8 years now. And I know ClickFunnels has been around, 10 years now? So I wasn't at the beginning, but I was close to the beginning. And I went to my first FHL 7 years ago. And I remember, as I went through learning marketing and learning sales and understanding funnels and everything and growing my business, I remember my business from the very beginning was built off of Facebook ads, right? My very first mentor, who was not Russell, but introduced me to Russell, actually helped me set up my first funnel. And it was like ads to a VSL to a phone call. And that was it. Like I learned how to do it off of Facebook ads, and nobody ever taught me organic traffic or media, which is funny because nobody needed to teach me, because that's what I was doing prior to all of this.
Right.
Like I was producing YouTube content for big brands. Like we produced over 500 million views for people. And so I had like all the experience of doing that, but for whatever reason, I got trained on how to run Facebook ads. And over years, we had peaks and valleys and successes, and like ended up winning our first 2 Comma Club award, and then joining, 2 Comma Club X, and then the Inner Circle, and went through the whole process in ClickFunnels and just grew and grew and grew. And everything was going great, and everything was just, on the outside, it just looked like everything was perfect and successful. And I think that's what a lot of people saw in me and my company. But it was about a year and a half ago, like 2 years ago, if you guys remember, there was a period where Facebook ads kind of stopped working.
Yeah.
And things were not going so well. And I remember, prior to this, I remember going to FHL and all the events and everything. And Russell would always say, if you publish every day for a year, you will, I'm convinced that you will find your voice and you'll be financially free. Right.
Yeah.
And, I remember hearing that over and over and over again, and always being like, okay, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. Let's do it for a year. And I would try for 2 weeks and then stop. And then I would not post for 6 months and then try another 2 weeks and stop. And I could not ever bring myself to do it consistently, which
so relatable. I'm sure so many people relate to that.
And it's so weird because like I had done it successfully for other brands and other people, but sometimes you have a skill or a talent that you're really good at doing for other people, but like you just can't figure out how to do it for yourself.
The car mechanic who always has his car, sitting on the side on cinder blocks. He never fixes his own car.
You're always your last priority. I just, it's like I knew how to do it. I think instinctively, natively, I'm a creative type, but just like never did it or never took the time. And a big part of the reason is because I think as entrepreneurs, often we're taught to focus on like to pay for speed, right? Why would I spend all the time and the energy on creating content when I can just give Facebook $1 and immediately get leads, right? or in today's terms, like 1/10 of a lead. So, it's changed, but that's really like, that's what we're taught. And the reality is, well, I mean, I can get to this later, but that philosophy has really changed for me in terms of like what's actually important in building something that's meaningful and lasting. So,
I was just going to say too, what actually was the pain point of doing that, and what helped you get over that and actually start publishing every day?
Yeah. So what happened is, a couple of years ago, Apple started putting these notifications on iPhones that were like, hey, ask this app not to track me. And you've probably seen those. And like some 95% of people are clicking, no, don't track me on those, which you would if somebody asks if they can track you naturally. It's like a quick no from me. And so that killed Facebook's ability to track people, and therefore Facebook's ability to run targeted ads, and killed their inventory and ended up costing them like $12 billion in revenue because of that. And when your business is built on Facebook's business and Facebook's business goes down, your business goes down with it. And that's what happened to me. It was around Christmas time a couple of years ago. Ad costs were rising. We were paying sometimes as much as $3,000 just to book a call with a lead, which is not sustainable, by the way. No. And so we were right in the middle of hiring a new sales team and training them. And when you're in the middle of that, like, you can't stop the lead flow, because then otherwise, what are you going to train them on? So we just kept spending money, and we just watched our bank accounts go further and further and further into debt. And like I said, it was right around Christmas time. This was honestly the worst Christmas of my entire life. I remember spending like the whole holiday just locked in a room, working, stressed out, just overworked. I did not see my kids. I remember like arguing with my wife, like just, we literally didn't even take a family picture at Christmas that year, which to me is like so sad. My photos are like my journal, right? And like the fact that I don't even have a memory of that year was just devastating. And so it really like, it put me into a funk. And there was a time in my business that was really dark and hard and difficult, and honestly didn't know how I was going to get out of it. And this was happening for a little while, for a few months, and I just knew that like I had to make a change. I had to do something different. I couldn't keep going this way. And so it was at Mastermind in Paradise, actually. So all of the Inner Circle and Tucamo Club, like, all got together in Cancun, Mexico. And I remember I was at that event and hanging out. I honestly couldn't afford to be there, but I was there because you know that like one idea, one piece of advice, one conversation with somebody could be the thing that completely changes everything. Yeah. And so I went with like the faith that would happen, and got there. And it was at that event that I made a dramatic decision for my business. And I decided, I can't keep doing this. I'm going to completely shut off my Facebook ads, my entire source of business, everything that I have, everything that is funding my life and my employees' life and my team and everything. I'm going to just turn that off, and I'm going to start posting short videos on Facebook, on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts every single day. Like Russell said, he said to do it. He's like, this is what will happen. And so,
and you made that decision while you were there?
Yeah, while I was there. In fact, I made my first 3 videos at the resort.
I remember those videos.
Yeah. So I went and I made the videos, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just like, they weren't very good. I remember walking around the resort trying to find a place to shoot them, and I was looking for a nice backdrop, which is easy to find at a place like that. But I was actually looking for a place where nobody would see me doing it, because I was so afraid of just like being seen making these videos. I was embarrassed, and it was really hard. But I made those first 3 videos, and I committed. For whatever reason, I didn't have another way out. And so I was like, this is it. Like, I'm committing to this. I'm doing this 365 days, nonstop, every single day. Let's go. And I started doing that. I started posting. When I got back home, started making videos every single day. And it was kind of a grind of like, wake up, record a video, edit it, publish it, like for a little while, until I started to figure out batching and stuff like that. But I started making all the videos. And for the first 2 months of publishing videos, I lost followers every day. Because when you have an audience of people that you haven't published to in a long time, and then you start suddenly coming out the gate with a ton of content, most of them are like, who is this guy? I don't even remember why I followed you, or like where you came from in the first place. And so they started leaving, and I started losing people, and like low engagement, and like not going well. I mean, just imagine this, like my business is on the brink of bankruptcy. I'm counting on this as the solution to solve all of my problems. And I'm seeing it failing for 2 months. And if anything would tell you that I was committed, it's probably that like 2 months in, I was still going. Because like I said, I didn't have another way out. I had to do this. So the first 2 months were like that. The second 2 months, it went flat. All right. I was losing and gaining the same number of followers every single day. So my following stayed flatlined. And then it was sometime right around the month 5, continued posting every single day. And right in the middle of month 5 is when things took off like a hockey stick. And it
5 months in.
Yeah. I went from like in a matter of like a week or two, I went from like gaining 0 followers a day to gaining hundreds of followers per day. And that eventually grew into thousands of followers every single day. Like if you pull up Instagram, you click on the heart button, it shows you your notifications. I would scroll all the way down to the bottom as far as I could go until it stops. And it's like, that's enough. We can't show you any more notifications. And that would be like 1 hour ago of followers. And that was crazy just watching that happen. And so, it completely changed my life, completely changed my business, saved my life. That next Christmas was like the best Christmas of my life. I actually got to get away from my business, had the team take over things. And like, we started just kind of
get a family picture, hopefully.
I got a family picture. It was beautiful with the kids and it was just awesome. But the reason I tell that story is because what people need to understand is that like, this isn't about me. What they need to understand is that what I always say is influence is the new currency, right? What does that mean? What it means is that the approach that a lot of marketers and entrepreneurs take to business is like, if I want to get sales or if I want to get clients or whatever, my approach is like, I got to go chase down the clients. I got to go chase people. I got to go build a funnel, like build a tactic, like jump into a tactic or a strategy or something that's going to make money right now. But I found that a lot of times the solution to a problem is not solving the problem itself. It's figuring out what problem is this problem a symptom of? And what do I actually need to make happen so that I can, rather than pursuing something, because what I always say is, if you're pursuing something, it's because it's running away from you. Instead of pursuing something, how do I make myself attractive to that thing? How do I put myself in front of the lead flow? Where is the money going right now? Where is the attention? Where is the attraction going right now? How do I put myself in front of that? And the answer to that, especially in today's day and age and going forward, honestly, I think for the next decade, is attention, is influence. It's being a creator online. It's creating content. It's publishing. That's really ultimately where things are going. And so I think it's crucial for people, if you want to be successful from now and beyond in this new creator economy, the age of the creator that we're going into, you really have to start to see yourself as a creator first, honestly, in a lot of cases, more so than an entrepreneur. Put that first and then allow that attention then to fuel your business and become like the currency, right?
Yeah. And not only that, but being inbound, getting that inbound traffic is a heck of a lot cheaper than chasing down your potential customer, right?
Oh yeah, we replaced $40,000 to $50,000 a month in ad spend with completely organic media, and our business has not just replaced it, but our business has multiplied. We still haven't run a single ad since.
That's incredible. So just from a mindset perspective, when you said at that event, I'm going to commit to creating content every single day for a full year, at 3-4 months in, seeing that you didn't really see the change that you were hoping for yet, do you think it's because you committed, like, I will do this for a year no matter what, that you stuck with it in order to see things really start to change for you?
I committed. I would say that yes, because of the commitment. And also I focused on building systems around creating content. And that was a big part of it too, because as entrepreneurs, we are generally very inconsistent.
Yes.
That's just the reality, right? And like I recognize that about myself. And I was like, if I'm going to be consistent at this, I have to build a system. In fact, if you like wordplay, I always like to say that consistency kind of sounds like consistency, right? Mm-hmm. So the solution to consistency, if you're inconsistent, it's because you need a system, right? So the systems, that's people, tools, processes. Like I got team members to help me. I started getting building processes and tools and project management boards to help the content system. All of that ultimately became my agency that I started. And now we do this for other entrepreneurs so that they can be consistent with their content as well. But yeah, that was the big thing that really helped it to be consistent. It was that passion and that commitment that I'm doing this, but then also combined with being smart about building a system so that this could actually become a long-term thing and keep going.
I love it. Tell us a little bit more about what you're excited about now. And like, if people want to learn more about you, what is the best way for them to do? I would assume it probably has to do with the book. Like, tell us what you're really focusing on for the next 6 months.
Yeah. So I do have the book coming out in a few months. So, if you want to check that out, it's at createdon'tcapture.com. Yep, that's the book.
You can also get on the wait list at ericthayne.com.
You can also go to ericthayne.com and get on my newsletter. I send out a newsletter with tips and tricks on how to find your creativity, build your personal brand, create content, and build your business online every single week. It's 100% free. This is not a sales newsletter where I'm pitching you every week. This is literally just pure value. To me, I see the email as like another social media platform. So just creating content. So yeah, that's definitely coming up. And the book, the thing about the book is that like it'll teach you everything about like what we're talking about, how to create content, how to create short form video, how to be a creator, how to make it go viral, how to build your business around it. It's got all of those tactics in it, but the purpose of the book actually goes so much deeper. And when you get your hands on it, when you read it, you'll see this very clearly that to me, creating content isn't just about creating content. It's about becoming a content creator. And what that really means is like I see content creation as a personal development journey. They say that entrepreneurship is the ultimate form of personal development. And I think that's true, but I also think that being a content creator takes it to another level because putting yourself out there, getting on video is exposing, right? There's like when you're showing up on video in front of a camera, you can't hide. You can't put on a facade. Like who you are is coming across to your audience, whether you want it to or not. And so ultimately it comes down to like, are you okay with being who you are? Right. And do you love yourself, honestly? And do you love yourself enough to be willing to put that out in front of people and to share your light and your message with the world, which is a very scary and hard thing for most people.
Yeah.
And that's why we're inconsistent about creating content and why we struggle with it, because there's a lot of internal battles that go on to become consistent at creating content.
I think people are so afraid of what their family's going to say, or, oh boy, there he is again, or there she is again, or even the comments, right? The haters. But does there come a point where you just laugh off the haters? You get thick enough skin, or you have enough self-worth? Like what happens where you can just kind of, fend all that off?
Yeah, well, that's a deep internal journey of like really discovering that. And I don't know if we have time to go into that, or if we want to talk about it, or you tell me, like, where are we at with this?
Let's go into it for a minute. I want to hear this.
Okay, we'll go into it for a minute. Because this is actually the part of this, all of this that I think is actually more fascinating to me, is that a lot of people see the external journey. Here's what happened, and Eric started posting, and he got all his success and whatever. And that's all fine and dandy. But like what a lot of people don't hear about as much is the internal journey that I went on through this entire process.
Yeah.
Because when Russell talks about how if you publish every single day, he would say there's two things that'll happen. Number one is you'll find your voice. Number two is you'll become financially free. Or I'm convinced that you'll become financially free. He doesn't guarantee that, right? So there's those two things. And a lot of people latch onto the financially free part. Like, oh yeah, it's so cool. I want that to happen, right? And they forget about the finding your voice part. Mm-hmm. And if you were to ask me, I would say that of the two things, the finding your voice is the more important, more advantageous, more beneficial to you part of that equation. And the reason is because when you figure out how to step into your purpose, your calling, what you were meant to do, which happens as a result of putting yourself out there and creating content consistently, that is the thing that ultimately is going to change your life. The decisions, what's happened in my business externally is a result of the decision making that has been happening internally. It's the result of me getting clear on my values and what I care about and building from there, using those as the filter through which I make every single decision. If you accept that where you are in life is a result of the decisions you've made up until this point, then the goal to getting somewhere else into a better place in your life is by making higher quality decisions. And the way you do that is becoming a higher quality, a better version of yourself. And so that's really the whole journey that I believe that if you're becoming a content creator or an entrepreneur or creator of any type, you want to put something into the world, that's the real journey that you're on. And that's the real journey that you want to focus on, because that's actually the problem that the other problems are a symptom of, right? If your content isn't working, your business isn't working, it's really the bigger problem is that you need to do some work on you.
Yeah.
And when you do that work on you and you learn how to overcome those challenges, that's where things start to take off.
And putting putting yourself out there probably is a huge part of that self-discovery.
And a great practice and confidence, right? Like when you're willing to do that and do it every day, even if you absolutely suck the first few weeks of doing it, there's no better way to practice your own confidence than to just commit to it, right? Every single day, you're just going to keep getting better. And hopefully you're going to start to feel like, I can do this. I'm getting better at it. I can see myself improving.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Eric, we could talk to you all day. Why don't you leave us again with the links on where they can go get the book and how to follow you online?
Yep. So you can find me on every platform at Eric Thayne. You can go to ericthayne.com if you want to get on that newsletter that I send out tips every single week, every Friday morning. And then, if you're interested in the book, createdon'tcapture.com, you'll get put on the wait list. So I'll give you updates on when that's coming out and when it's going to be going. I'm going to be doing some really cool things for the launch that I'm really excited. It's very unique, very different.
Open loop.
It'll be really fun. So make sure you're on that list. That will also put you on my newsletter, so you'll get the tips every single week, so you don't have to do both. Ultimately, I can't wait for everybody to get their hands on the book and to read it. Like I said, it's got all the tactics in it, but then it also dives deeper into that personal development side of this and really helping you get over the real true things that are holding you back from being a content creator and putting your message and your light into the world. So I'm really excited for people to be able to read that.
It's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing it. You have so many actionable things that people can take from that. And I think it'll be really fun to see how other people really apply some of that and become the creator and influencer and entrepreneur that they want to be. So thanks for being a guest on the show today. It was great to chat with you.
You bet. My pleasure to be here. Thank you guys.
You're awesome. Thanks, Eric.
See ya.